engineers, which is given by College of Water Resources and Hydropower in Sichuan University. And my name is Si Yuanzhao, who is assistant professor in the College of Water Resources and Hydropower. So I believe this is the first class, which is about geology in your discipline system. So apparently, from the name of this subject, it's discipline about the joint subject between the engineering and geology. So we in many civil engineering or civil engineering project, we solve some problem, no matter for the structural engineers or geotechnical engineers. We solve problems about the structure with some like, for example, rock, soil, or some other things which belongs to the geological characteristics. So this is a very interesting class that in which we can learn many very interesting natural phenomena in nature. And so through this class, we can learn some how we can understand the phenomena in nature and the interaction between some geological material and the structures. So yeah, but unfortunately, yes, we can only have this class this way online way. We cannot communicate with each other face to face. I think it's not very good for us to learn this class, but yes, because of the very severe coronavirus situation all over the world. So we can only do like this, but I think no problem. We can still enjoy the class, and I hope you guys could enjoy this class. So my name is Si Yuanzhao, and this is Si Yuan is my first name, and Zhao is my family name. So this is a Chinese character of my name. So this is my email, and you can we can keep in touch in the future, in the next few months. And if you have any questions about this class or lessons, or you need some advices about your future career, no matter for education, research, or job hunting, you can feel free to contact me. Okay, so yeah. I can. I will do my best to answer your questions. Okay. The next I will talk something about who I am. So yeah, I got the PhD of science in majoring in environmental geosciences in Korea University, and as you know, either China and Japan is not a native English speaking country. So my English, please forgive me that my English is not very fluent. So, but so sometimes I can only speak slowly, and but I'm sure I can help you in many aspects of your study or research. So yes, in days, if you have anything interested in geology or in geology, just let me feel free. Let me know. and I will be happy, very happy to help you. Okay. Yeah, you can see I used to be a high school student around 2005 to 2008 in Chengdu Observatory High School. I'm not sure whether you know this high school. Yes, it is just nearby the Sichuan University of Wangjiang campus, and yeah, maybe some of you know that it's a cutting edge high school. Maybe not totally in Sichuan. Yeah, it's. I heard that last year it was evaluated as a top 10 high school in China. Yeah, speaking of this, yeah, I will tell you a story that which is funny. That yeah, before I maybe around the year of 2000, before I went to the seminary school, yeah, there's a rumor which is about uh, this high school that yes, I heard that we heard that the teacher in this school always tells their students that if you do not work very hard, you can only enter in a not very a not good university like the university just near us, the Sichuan University. Do you think it is true or not? Yeah, at last I found that it is not true. Actually, I should say that it was true, but it's not true when I stay in this high school, because that many years before the 2005, yeah, there were very just not very many students in this high school. Yes, there were maybe about around 300 students in a grade. So many years ago, in that time, yeah, the students, all of the students, almost all of the students study hard, and they can get a very high scores. And yes, so yeah, entering universities like Sichuan universities, students who can enter the Sichuan University cannot rank in a very high position in this high school. But when I stay there, the situation has changed. The guys who ranked in at least in the first half of the students, they can enter in the Sichuan University. So maybe I am not. I am just in the first half of the students. So I get maybe not very bad scores in the final exam in the high school. So finally, I major in the geological engineering for my bachelor degrees in Southwest Jiaotong University. And you can notice that I entered the college in the year of 2008, which is it is also the year when the huge earthquake, winter earthquake happened. So in that time, in that year, I have never imagined I will conduct some research on the geohazards in the mountainous areas. And after that, I got my master degrees in the same university. Also for the geological engineering. And in my eyes, all of you are lucky guys. You can study overseas for an undergraduate courses because actually in my you can see because I did say that I was born in Chengdu, so yeah, you can see before the 2015 I have never uh, stay out of Chengdu for my education, and which is happened to which happened to the opposite situation of my image. Yeah, because I really wanted to go to somewhere else like Shanghai or Beijing to uh, finish my education or in the undergraduate course and the master course. But yeah, I'm I just stay in Chengdu and got my bachelor degree and master degree. So that's why I said you are lucky guys. But finally, I got an opportunity, a very good opportunity to uh, further my research in Kyoto University to get my PhD degree with the recommendation of my supervisor of master course. And I stayed in Kyoto for 3 years, and my research direction is about the mountain disaster science, and the subject or my doctor title. My doctor thesis title is the geological structure control on landslide and some deep-seated gravitational slope deformation response to fluid incision along the eastern margin of the Tibetan Plateau. So why? Do you know why I just post the title of my doctor thesis here? Later I will talk about uh, the old knowledge and the contents of the engineering geology. And my uh, doctor doctoral studies contains many respects of the very important aspects of the engineering geology. Later you can see it more properly. I'm very lucky that I left Japan uh, just before the corona situation, because if I encountered the epidemic situation, maybe my graduation will be delayed. More or less, and this is me, and which is taken in the last year in Tibetan Plateau. And this is not the sun, it's the moon. That on that day we really went through a very tough field work, and we climbed the mountain about 600 or 700 meters, and we went down and climbed, and I felt very exhausted at that time. But when I finish it, I stand on the top of the mountain and under the moon, I felt very, I felt very cool. Do you think so? Okay, next I will introduce what is engineering geology. Actually, engineering geology is, as I said, is the applied branch of our science. It involves the application of knowledge of geosciences to ensure safety, efficiency, and economy of engineering projects. It is actually it's primarily devoted to the study of rocks and the soil and something about underground water. This is essential for proper location planning, design, construction, operation, and some maintenance of engineering structures. And in addition, engineering geology is associated uh, with the assessment and the implementation of corrective measures for a wide variety of natural and man-made hazards. It is engineering geology is a hybrid discipline that use comprehensive knowledge of geology to assess and manage engineering projects. And the engineering geologist is typically highly skilled scientist with a strong educational background in both geology and engineering. As I said, it is a joint subject. And the fields in engineering geology include building and infrastructure, site analysis, pollution cleanup assessments, and environmental resource management. So, in other words, the engineering geology is about applying all branches of the geosciences to assure the safety and the economy and the environmental projects. So the basic goal of engineering geology is to determine which geological issues may affect a project and plan how to address these issues safely. And for example, if a city wishes to construct a new courthouse, and an engineering geologist may be called in to analyze the prospective site for any potential hazards and provide a risk assessment of the site that will help people determine how the courthouse is built. And some of the tasks involved in completing these jobs may include soil analysis to determine soil makeup and potential contamination, as well as assessing the risks of natural disasters such as floods or earthquakes, or they are inducing landslides and other hazards in mountainous areas. Yeah, but I have been studying the natural hazards like big, huge landslides in mountainous areas in my previous research. So, in some other words, the geology provides a systematic knowledge of construction material. You can see this is a granite, very common intrusive rock, very one of the most common and important rock types in the nature. And they could be the very good material that is used for the some construction or the designing. And so geology could provide this knowledge of not only construction material and its occurrence, composition, and durability, and some other properties of these materials. And this, as I said, there are some examples of construction materials. It's like building stones, road metal, clay, limestone, and some laterite. And the engineering geology also deals with the application of geological knowledge in the field of civil engineering for execution of safe, stable, and economic construction like dams, bridges, tunnels underground, and some other infrastructures, which is important for human beings. Engineering is also devoted to the investigation, study, and solution of the engineering and environmental problems, which may arise as a result of the interaction between geology and the works and activities of man, as well as to the prediction and the development of measures for prevention and mitigation of geological hazards, which are mainly concerned with the geological problems encountered in civil engineering. And its main task is to investigate and evaluate the geological engineering problems, providing the basic information for the plan, design, and some construction works. And this is about your final score assessment. The examining method includes the following: the attendance. The attendance accounts for 10%, and homework accounts for 20%, and the unit test maybe we will sit twice of the unit test, which accounts for 20%, and the final exam would account for 50% in the 100 mark system. And as I said, the asking my questions is always welcome. And if you ask me questions and show your very good scientific interest and thinking, I will. I can properly raise your add some scores for you. So discussions are always welcome for me. Okay, it should be also notable that this is a online class. So some segments of the some teaching segments could not be carried out in this semester. It's a pity, and we can spend 1 or weeks for some outdoor exercises, like we can see some rock samples to make you better understand the rock type, and or we can visit some laboratory, and we can understand some more experiments, like mechanics experiment or some age test. It's a pity. So So yes, during the class, I can only find some very good videos. Yeah, besides mine, to make you understand them better. Yeah, to be honest, yes, some portions of the knowledge, geological knowledge, are somehow boring. So um, it's indispensable. So, but I will try my best to, add some interesting segments or some interesting videos to for you to arouse some your interest on this subject. So this is the first class I will I can introduce some geological knowledge in nearby us, Sichuan. Yeah, and this is a Chinese topography. It changed greatly from mountainous regions to inhospitable desert zones and flat, fertile plains. It can be compared to a staircase descending from west to east. The Tibetan Plateau forms the highest part of the country and forming the first step on the west of China. And known as the roof of the world, the Tibetan Plateau is more than 3,000 meters above sea level. And the Himalaya mountain, which is the southern margins of the Tibet, has a number of peaks over the mountain peaks over 7,000 meters, with the tallest in the world, the mountain Everest, at the Sino-Nepal border. Melting snows from these peaks are the source of several main Chinese rivers, including the Yangtze River, which is also called Changjiang in Chinese, and the Yellow River, which runs from west to east. And the second step is the Inner Mongolia and the Yunnan Guizhou Plateau, as well as the Tarim and the Sichuan and basins. The Tarim basins is the site of the Xinjiang autonomous region, where the largest desert in China, the Tagmaka, is located, and the plains of the Yangtze River and northern and eastern China are the country's most populated areas and the agriculture center of the country. So the most people in China lives in the east of this country. And finally, the coastal zones stretch from Vietnam to North Korea and bordering in the South China, East China, and the Yellow Sea, join the Pacific Ocean. And this is the topography of Sichuan Basin, and this is where I am in Chengdu, which is also the Sichuan University located. And the Sichuan Basin is a lowland region, you can see, and the color shows the elevation above the sea level. The red and some white color shows higher elevation, and the blue, the light blue shows the very low elevations. So you can see in Sichuan Basin, Sichuan is a lowland region in the southwest of China, and with average of elevation of about 500 or 600 with a plane at the elevation just under 400 meters, and the surrounding margins at about 600 meters. And the basin located at one of the regions with the most complex terrain in the world is surrounded by different scale topography of plateaus and mountains with highlands of Tibet Plateau on the west. So yes, for this part, it's very. You can see it's very. It has very high elevations. Also, this region belongs to the Sichuan, but yeah, in geography, it should be attributed to the Tibet, the east margin of Tibet Plateau. And the Yunnan Guizhou Plateau is located on the south, and the Wu Mountains on the east, and the Daba Mountains on the north, of the which pose the interior to be a closed zone with mild climate. So the Sichuan Basin is like it's like a real basin like this, you can see. And the Western Sichuan transiting zones from the second terrace to the third terrace, and the terrain decreased steeply in elevation downward to the transitional region between the Tibet Plateau and the Sichuan Basin, with the terrain drop reach about 4,000 meters. And the Yunnan Guizhou Plateau has an average altitude of over 2,000 meters. So Chengdu is on the bottom of the basin, like this. It's very interesting for implement some studies on the why such a topography formed. And Sichuan is also famous for its very rich natural resources, like the salt resources. And there are a lot of salt wells in Sichuan. And the salt well is much like a water well. And the people bring the well water up to the ground and then dry it in big pans over fire. And in this way, they get salt in the ancient time. And the exploitation of the natural gas and the rock salt has a history of over 2,000 years for Sichuan people. And the deepest well is more than 1,000 meter before the model industry began. It's really, really amazing. And there are also many huge and important dams, artificial dams in Sichuan, because of the very abrupt change of topography. Like I said, this Chengdu is located on the bottom of the basin, which elevation is about 600 meters, and only maybe several tens of kilometers west of the Chengdu. The elevation rises about more than 2,000 or 3,000 meters in elevation. So such a topography could result in need to very good and fertile the water resources, water power resources. So Sichuan people built have built many dams in the west of Sichuan. For example, the Ertan hydropower station is situated. It is situated in Sichuan province, 30 kilometers from the exit of Yellow River, which is the maybe major river in the adjacent Sichuan in the Tibet Plateau. The Ertan hydropower station is China's largest hydropower station completed in the 20th century. And Shanjiaba gravity dams, which belongs to the Shanjiaba hydropower station site, is located at the junction of Sichuan and Yunnan provinces on the lower reaches of Jinsha River. And the design and the construction are closely related to rock strengths and rock discontinuities, which I will introduce in specific in later class. And as you know, I work in the College of Water Resources and Hydropower. Many colleagues of mine have conducted lots of researches on this field. And although the hydropower industry shrinks more and more recent years, I'm not sure whether the job market and the situation is still good or not in your country on hydropower or civil engineering. But if you study in Sichuan University, I believe you will have a bright future. And of course, there are many very, very beautiful sceneries in Sichuan, or especially in the western Sichuan. And the most famous one is the Jiuzhaigou. I think you must know it. And there are lots of gorgeous lakes in the Jiuzhaigou, this sceneries, and which is one of the most famous scenic spots in China, I think. So that yesterday I found a very interesting videos for the Jiuzhaigou introduction. So later I will play it for you. If you haven't gone there before, I think yes, you can plan it. Plan a trip for Jiuzhaigou after after the corona situation, and when you can come back to China from your country. But maybe you already know that in 2017, a big earthquake occurred in Jiuzhaigou, and which induced and triggered many geohazards like rock falls, landslide, and debris flows. And especially in such mountainous areas, the major earthquakes could cause large numbers of landslides in broad areas with high peak ground acceleration and high seismic intensity, which could lead to severe economic losses and casualties. And just after the earthquake, we had a field trip in Jiuzhaigou, and this was one of my senior fellows who has the same supervisor of mine in Southwest Jiao Tong University. And this is the very beautiful gate. Previously beautiful gate in Intercontinental Hotel, which is the best hotel in year 2 ago. And the earthquake shaking damaged very badly. And you must know the Dujianyan. Yeah, this is a very essential cultural relics in just nearby Chengdu. And more than 2,000 years ago, Nibin designed this water control and irrigation dam and organized thousands of local people to complete the project. And for many years, the Minjia River flooded the Chengdu agriculture area, and local farmers suffered a lot damage from the water disaster before the building of the Dujianyan. So due to the success of this project, the dam has played a very significant role on flood prevention and agriculture irrigation, which nurtures Sichuan people for many years, also for nurtures Chengdu people. So even by now, the Dujianyan is still working, protecting the Chengdu people. And some other very famous sceneries is shown here. The Hebei Mountains and the Big Buddha in Neshan. And this Big Buddha it should be the biggest one in the world. So if you have time, you can. It's very close to Chengdu. Maybe 2 hours by car and less than 1 hour by train. So if you have time after you come back, you can you guys could have a very interesting and funny trip to go there. And the river culture also gave birth to some civilization. Yeah, the Sanctuary is Sanctuary and the Jinsha in the Shang dynasty are the two of the most famous one, especially for the Sanctuary. It's the name of the archaeological site and a major Bronze Age culture in modern Guanghan. Yeah, it's also very close to very maybe 50 or 60 minutes by car, and it was naturally discovered in the last century, 1980s. The archaeologists excavated the remarkable artifacts, and the age of them were at least 3,000 years ago. So it is basically a prehistoric civilization and culture in Sichuan. Not only in Sichuan, maybe, it's a very early prehistoric civilization, even in the whole China. Yeah, but besides the beautiful scenery, the geohazards, the issues of the geohazards were also very severe and serious, and like the Wenchuan earthquake with a magnitude of 8.0 occurred on the May 12th in 2008. Yeah, it caused a very big damage and for the mountainous areas, the people in that areas, and leading to many very catastrophic geohazards. And this is the Beichuan County, which is taken by Professor Ding in 2008. And the Beichuan County is situated in the transitional mountains belt between the Sichuan Basin and the Western Sichuan Plateau. So in emergency field investigation and the interpretation of remote sensing images in the area of Beichuan County after the winter earthquake, more than 1,700 net site with area greater than 1,600 square meters were identified within an area of 3,000 square kilometers. The dominant types of seismic net sites are rock falls and rock sites, like the one occurs nearby the Beichuan County. And generally, the Sichuan is geographically located in the southwest of China, and its east part is Sichuan Basin, and its west part belongs to the east margin of the Tibet Plateau, as the collision of the Indian plate and the Euro-Asian plate continents. The western Sichuan is tectonically active region, so that's why we have we went through the very big earthquake, and on the other side, the nature and the active tectonic situation also creates many beautiful scenic spots in Western Sichuan. So everything in the world has two sides. And this figure shows the distribution of active fault belts in Sichuan, and the drawing shows the detailed distribution of the three major active fault belts. And the next slide I talked just now is really closely related to the distribution of the active fault. And later, I can give you some examples of it. So why engineering geology is important for a civil engineer? Yeah, like I said, the geology is the most important branch in the family of earth science. And besides, the different branches of geology deal with the history of Earth's origin and the material in its interior, and the physical processes that take place within it, especially plate tectonics. And knowledge of geology is necessary to study fossils in rock formations and to reconstruct the plant and animal world of remote past. And geology for civil engineering work primarily involves activities related to rock and soil occurring in the top crustal layer of the earth, or I can see to a depth of only a few hundred meters. So engineering geology investigates applications of geology to engineering practice, such as the location design, construction, and maintenance of engineering works. And in general, 6 aspects are covered in this subject: topography and geomorphology, stratigraphy and rock types, geologic structures, underground water, surface processes, and construction materials. And a good knowledge of geology may secure engineering and life from possible induced disasters and save money. Oh, by the way, I give this lecture without the short break in the middle. So if you need to go to the toilet, just be free, and you will not miss any portions of my lecture, because after every lecture, I will upload the teaching video on the network, so you can see it in any time you like. And this is landslide occurred beside the highway in Taiwan in April 2010, and it caused 4 casualties. But there was no rain and no earthquake occurred in advance. So why will it happen? Why would it happen? Like for this kind of landslides, it's very yes, it's we can speak it very simply, but it also contains many complicated reasons or causes. So we need to conduct research on this such kind of landslides case by case, and summarize some very patterns of them. So it's very interesting for this process, the analyze process. And the vine landslide, it's a very big landslide occurred in Italy in 1963. Maybe I will skip here, and later I will talk about it in some later chapters when we talk about some rock mechanics and the natural hazards. So how do we study the engineering geology? These are very important. First of all, you should pre-read and some textbook and accumulate some very basic knowledge. And after that, we can have a very useful, helpful discussion in classroom. So that's why I always encourage you ask me questions or take a discussion with me if you have any ideas of studies and research in this subject. And the second one is the fieldwork. In China, there's a very famous proverb, 行万里路，读万卷书. Which means it's better to travel 10,000 miles than to read 10,000 books. So, for engineering geologists, the fieldwork is one of the most important tasks. Because you should observe the true phenomena in the nature and feel it and understand it and transform it in your idea. And after that, you can solve many engineering geological problems or issues in the not only in some construction or designing environmental fields, but also for some something you some research you are really interested, and you should learn to how you should learn how to find the resources on the internet by yourself. That's important. Speaking of this, before you get back, you can enter Google, and I think you can find everything through it. So yeah, I think you can learn it. Pre-read the textbook at first and find some resources on the internet and learn to questions and discuss with me. And there's some book list for the pre-read textbook. But in this subject, I think there's not much time for you to read all of them. But if you have some interest for any one of them, I will be happy to hear that. And these are the contents of engineering geology in this class. So you can see the subject is the engineering geology is a subject that we apply all the geological background to solve problems in civil engineering. So at first you should accumulate and learn enough basic knowledge like mineral and rocks, structural geology, and the groundwater, and some like geological process or by rivers or weathering. And after that, you should get to the way to obtain the rock mechanics and some setting investigation methods. And after that, in general, you should obtain all the knowledge of this. And after that, you maybe next time you see the construction or designing work, you can come up some more ideas and find some more interesting phenomena. So this is a proverb that I like very much. To esteem the nature, the harmony between the nature and the engineering is essential for sustainable development. Okay, this is the introduction to engineering geology. So as I said, I found a very good videos about the geodago. So today we still have some time. I will play it for you. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Okay? You can leave messages on this text meeting during the class, or text me on the WeChat in group or personally. Okay?
Hidden high in the Himalayas is a valley carved by water. In just 30 miles, there are 17 extraordinary waterfalls and 114 pristine lakes of astonishing colors. Supersaturated with minerals, the water creates submerged sculptures, thousands of years in the making. The valley is so isolated, the people have developed their own unique Tibetan culture, in which flowing water represents the soul of Geodago. enchanted valley, buried deep in the land of the dragon. Cradled at the foot of the Himalayas, on the highest plateau on the planet, is a land of mist and mountains, where, according to legend, an enchanted valley was created by gods in love. It's said a young mountain god once adored a beautiful sky goddess. To show his devotion, he made her a gift worthy of her beauty. It was a shining mirror, polished by the clouds and wind. Unfortunately, the mirror slipped through her fingers, and the shattered fragments fell to earth, where they formed 114 crystal clear lakes, set like jewels in a mountain valley. In China today, they have a saying: if there is a heaven on earth, that will be Jiuzhaigou. Which is why the extraordinary lakes have become one of China's top tourist destinations. But for thousands of years, few people knew the place even existed. Buried in the mountainous heart of China, the entire national park covers just 278 square miles, about the same area as New York City. Surrounded by forest-covered mountains, lakes at the top of the valley sit more than 10,000 feet above sea level. But in Jiuzhaigou, not all water rests in tranquil lakes. In just 30 miles, the valley descends 6,000 feet, which means water moves quickly down the mountain. The local Tibetans believe flowing water is the soul of Jiuzhaigou. In addition to the 114 lakes, there are 47 springs, 11 rapids, 5 shoals, and 17 extraordinary waterfalls. There's a popular saying in China: once you've seen Jiuzhaigou, there's no need to see any other water. No wonder this enchanted valley is a favorite location for feature film directors, including Ang Lee and his Academy Award-winning Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Jiuzhai Valley squeezes more than 40 lakes into only 9 miles. And there's still room for the widest waterfall in China. This extraordinary landscape was created by water and ice. Over millions of years, massive glaciers gouged the Jiuzhai Valley out of solid rock. When the rivers of ice retreated, they left behind the characteristic U-shaped valley walls familiar to visitors to Yosemite, which just happens to be the Enchanted Valley's sister park in America. But unlike Yosemite, which is carved from solid granite, the bedrock of Jiuzhai is limestone. Because 230 million years ago, this region was sitting at the bottom of a subtropical sea. The rocks of the Enchanted Valley contain fossilized remains of ancient corals and sea creatures, now lifted 8,000 feet above sea level. That's because 55 million years ago, India collided with Asia, forcing up the Himalayan mountain range. As the rock is pushed ever higher, water and ice eat away at the limestone, carving an imposing landscape of deep valleys and massive peaks. The aptly named Sword Rock slices 1,600 feet into the sky. As an icon of Jiuzhai, it's hard to believe that less than 40 years ago, the Chinese government knew nothing of the massive peak or the Enchanted Valley. The Jiuzhai Valley is incredibly remote. Even today, it's a 10-hour bus ride from the nearest city. Once, the only link to the outside world was a horse trail through the vast mountain wilderness. But this all changed in the 1960s, when logging gangs climbed into the valley in search of timber. In 1975, hearing rumors of a primeval paradise, the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry sent in a team to explore the logging potential of the valley. When confronted by such magnificent scenery, they fell to their knees in open-mouthed wonder. And the valley wasn't just full of trees. It was a sanctuary for wildlife. There are more than 140 species of birds, and squirrels are common. Far more elusive are two of China's most treasured endangered species, giant pandas and the equally rare golden snub-nosed monkey. Tiny populations still survive here, thanks to the extreme isolation and the pristine forest that survives in the valley. More than 50% of Jiuzhaigou is covered in ancient trees. It's called primeval forest because the groves of tall timber were spared the logging of neighboring valleys. First, the locals worked hard to prevent the logging, and soon the Chinese government stepped in to help. In 1982, Jiuzhai Valley became a national park, and the forest was protected forever. Now, the government is actively replanting vast areas in the park and surrounding mountains, where once there were only scarred hillsides and blackened stumps. Today, it's not trees, but water that brings most visitors to the Enchanted Valley. And the highest, deepest, and largest alpine lake is so big, the locals called it a sea. Half a million years ago, a huge rockfall blocked the top of the Jiuzhai Valley, and water backed up behind the dam, creating a lake 4.5 miles long, but only 500 yards wide. The locals called it the Long Sea, because for Tibetans, living 1,000 miles from the nearest ocean, this lake was the equivalent of the Pacific. It never overflows in even the heaviest rains, and never dries up, even in the severest drought. There's no outlet. The water simply drains away through cracks and fissures in the limestone. Vast quantities of water travel beneath Jiuzhaigou in subterranean river systems, occasionally emerging again in one of the 47 freshwater springs found in the valley. Once back above ground, the water's progress down the mountainside is halted by a series of stone dams. Some of the 114 lakes in the valley are the result of earthquakes, which rupture the limestone, sending massive rock falls to block the flow. Other lakes formed behind dams made of rubble, left by retreating Ice Age glaciers. Some pools are broad and shallow, filled with reeds and grasses, a magnet for migratory birds. But most ponds are filled with crystal clear water and astonishing colors. Algae and sand on the bottom reflect light of different wavelengths, generating a multitude of dazzling colors. The water is so cold that fallen trees decay very slowly. Their ghostly skeletons are preserved forever in the shroud of white limestone. When rainwater seeps through leaves and soil, it picks up carbon dioxide, which turns water into carbonic acid. The acid reacts with limestone, dissolving the bedrock and releasing calcium into the water. Eventually, the ponds become so supersaturated with calcium, it starts sticking to anything in the water. Over time, a coating of limestone rock forms around the sand, stones, and submerged trees. The dissolved calcium also makes the water intensely blue. But local Tibetans have an alternative explanation. All the pools have colorful names like Double Dragon Lake and Peacock River, each a reminder of an ancient legend. Many of the lakes and rivers are named after the spirits that live there, whether mermaid or monster. The water of Rhinoceros Lake is remembered for its health-giving properties. According to legend, a long time ago, a Tibetan priest once rode into Jiajigo on the back of his rhinoceros. He was seriously ill, on the verge of death. And then he drank from a spring that flowed into a lake. Miraculously, he was cured. And from that day forth, he regularly returned to drink from the waters of the lake that now bear the name of his rhinoceros. Other strange animals have been seen throughout the Enchanted Valley. Dragons are said to be common. At the bottom of this lake is a collection of calcified stones the locals believe is the body of a yellow dragon. When a light breeze ripples the surface of the water, it's said the dragon's body can be seen writhing in the depths of the lake. Jiaojiago, the one animal seldom seen is a fish. High in the Himalayas, everything freezes in winter. The only fish that manages to survive is the song-panned naked carp. Naked because it doesn't have any scales. The small and curious carp gather in large numbers when a leaf or pebble falls into the lake. In the cold alpine water, the fish are small and extremely slow growing, taking at least 7 years to reach maturity. The Tibetan named other lakes after animals that are much harder to see. Once, the shores of several lakes were surrounded by bamboo groves, the perfect habitat for giant panda. At Panda Lake, the cuddly giants used to drink and play, but none have been seen for many years. Once there were tigers in the mountains around Jiaojiago. It's said they drank from the waters of Tiger Lake. Although some believe the name comes from deciduous trees on the shore. In fall, when the leaves change color, the reflections of the trees were said to resemble the stripes of the tiger. But not everything in the Enchanted Valley is serene and tranquil. When water picks up speed, it deposits more calcium on the rocks. So in this strange land, the waterfalls keep on growing until they're 1,000 feet wide and over 10,000 years old. In Jiaojia Valley, there are 17 extraordinary waterfalls. Most waterfalls are worn away by the pounding water. But in this enchanted land, the waterfalls are growing bigger. As the calcium-rich water spills over the top, it leaves behind a layer of calcium carbonate. Slowly, very slowly, the layers thicken into an ever larger wall of limestone. Some of the falls have been growing since the last ice age. In most places, a raging torrent will strip all plants from the rocks around a waterfall. But here in the Enchanted Valley, the limestone cliffs are covered in living trees, creating very rare forest waterfalls. Something equally remarkable happens when the mineral-rich water spills out across the slopes of the limestone mountains. Usually, water would carve channels into the rock, but here, the hillsides grow bigger. So much calcium is deposited on the slopes of the mountain that it forms broad shoals across the valley, often 500 feet wide. To the local Tibetans, water cascading across the shoals is said to look like a shawl of pearls draped across the hillside. The shallow beaches are perfect growing conditions for more than 212 different species of water plants, 410 kinds of algae, and 203 types of fungus. Like everything else in the water, the plants get coated in calcium. One beach is covered with so many small, contorted limestone-covered trees, it's called Bonsai Shoal. Plants even help build waterfalls. First, they act as a giant filter, stopping sand and gravel moving downstream. In most places, it's this abrasive grit that eats into the rim of a waterfall, eroding it back up the valley. But in Jiuzhai, the crystal clear water bounces harmlessly off the rocks. Plants are also built into the waterfalls. As water spills over the top, it accelerates, increasing the rate calcium is deposited onto the rocks and roots, leaves, and branches. The lip of the waterfall becomes a cement-like matrix of plant and limestone, which just keeps getting bigger and bigger. The biggest attraction in the Enchanted Valley is a waterfall over 1,000 feet wide and 65 feet tall. This is the world's widest waterfall made of limestone. It's such a potent symbol of power that Tibetans named it after their god of virility. In fact, all the names in the Enchanted Valley are steeped in Buddhist mysticism. Everywhere you look, you can find the prayers of the people, and they're so spectacular, they've also become a favorite destination for travelers. Despite its extreme isolation, people have been living in the Jiuzhai Valley for over 3,000 years. And according to legend, it's all thanks to some very determined sisters. It's said the god of all living things once had 9 smart, brave, beautiful daughters. They were traveling through the mountains when they encountered evil. A snake devil was poisoning the water. But together, the 9 girls defeated the demon. And in the process, they fell in love with the land and the people. The 9 girls went on to marry 9 Tibetan men, created 9 families, and lived in 9 villages along the valley. Which is why the region is called Jiuzhaigo, the Chinese words for 9 Village Valley. Today, only 7 of the villages remain and are home to about 110 families. In this land of high altitude and low temperatures, life was hard. The people were farmers, growing potatoes and barley, and relied heavily on their herds of horses and yaks. Built on a solid base of stone, their houses have thick insulating walls of rammed earth and are covered in fir shingles. Traditionally, the buildings had 3 stories. Livestock lived on the ground floor, humans in the middle, and food for both was stored on top. The Valley of the 9 Villages is so isolated that the people have developed their own unique Tibetan culture. They speak their own dialect and practice their own sect of Buddhism. Symbols of their religious devotion are spread throughout the Enchanted Valley. Long strings of prayer flags are covered with pictures that promote peace and compassion. Fluttering in the breeze, the wind sets the prayers free. It's a common misconception that the prayers on the flags are aimed at the gods. Instead, the wind carries the messages of goodwill to all living beings in its path. Prayer wheels, large and small, are seen throughout the valley. Each wheel consists of a hollow cylinder containing religious scriptures. Tibetan Buddhists believe that spinning a prayer wheel multiplies their blessings. One spin of the prayer wheel is like reciting a religious chant 100 times. Only 40 years ago, the 9 villages of the Jiuzhai Valley were quiet and tranquil havens. now, things are very different. When the Enchanted Valley opened its doors to paying visitors in 1984, about 5,000 intrepid tourists made the trek into the mountains. But as China's middle class grew, so did the number of visitors. By 2002, more than 1 million people poured into the valley. Now, there can be up to 18,000 visitors a day. They come to see the spectacular landscapes and to visit the main village at the bottom of the valley, hoping to catch a glimpse of the ancient past. Some traditional homes are now shops, selling a variety of Tibetan artifacts and souvenirs. After decades of atheist policies, Buddhism is making a comeback in China, and travelers are fascinated by the symbols of devotion. The locals, unable to farm within the national park, now make a living from the...
Okay, let's end here today. And again, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me through the WeChat or email, as you like. Okay, see you next class.